All right. What's going on, everybody? We are live. Welcome, come one, come all. In case you are confused and wondering who I am, my name is Antonio Bryce. I am the creator of the comic book series brand. We have 10 days left on Indiegogo, shutting that thing down on December the 2nd. If you are new here, you can check out the first 21 pages of brand for free. It won't cost you a dime. The link, of course, is in the description. But I have another comic book creator here. It's got a pretty cool looking book called God's Hand. And we're going to chop it up with him a little bit and see what he's all about. Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully I'm saying this right. Anthony Figaro, or is that wrong?
That's wrong, but it's close. It's close. You got to think more like Bugs Bunny in the opera. Figaro. That's it.
Figaro.
You'll never get it wrong again.
All right. Figaro.
That's it.
Nigaro.
I've heard that one. I've heard that one too, baby. I've gotten that one too.
Hey, Nigaro. Oh no.
My daddy's nickname is Black, so you know.
my dad was black. Does that help? I don't know if that.
It's close. Let me tell you, it's close, bro.
All right, man. You know, you kind of got me. What's the guy? What's the guy? Dr. John. You kind of gotta.
I get that one.
You got that New Orleans swag going on.
I get that a lot. I tell people sometimes they're like, I'm like, look, I said, we don't talk about it. I said, so you don't really claim me and stuff. It's kind of, we don't talk about it. Yeah. When they get all, real, I'm so sorry. I'm like, nah, I'm just playing. I don't even know him. It's all good. Don't worry about it.
Listen, my grandpa and your grandma
sitting by the
fire. Yeah,
that's it, bro.
Oh man, yeah, I love it, man.
Antonio, you ever been down for the Mardi Gras?
It's been so long since, because that's someplace. I'm from Alabama originally. And,
okay, right over.
Yeah. We used to cut through them little areas all the time. We used to be, we'd slide through Louisiana every now and then when I was a little boy. My dad was in the Army. He was all over. So, definitely love Louisiana, love New Orleans. I definitely want to get back. I haven't been down there since Katrina. I can say that.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, so, it's a little different, but it's still you can't kill New Orleans, man.
Man. I love that accent, bro. I love. So that's what I'm saying. Is I need to soak. I have a thing for accents.
You come down. I'm gonna take care of you.
All right. I'm digging it, man. I'm like, yeah, with a gumbo, with an etouffee,
bro. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Well, Anthony, what brings you here today, my brother?
Just basically, man, to talk about God's Hand, talk about my book, crowdfunding it, putting it out there, trying to make a mark, man. Trying to give birth to a franchise.
Okay, I feel you. Okay, well, so let's unpack that. Okay, so you're the artist on the book as well. You doing everything, writing, creating?
Pretty much, yeah. I'm the creator, writer, and artist.
Okay, so
wearing all the hats.
So are you an old school comic head, or is this something that you just decided to throw your hand in there, or what?
I'm an old school comic head. I started on comics. When I started, I had this conversation with somebody the other day. When I started, Bob Layton was on Iron Man during Iron Wars. Todd McFarlane was on the Hulk. Jim Lee, I think, was just starting Punisher War Journal, and Sylvester was on Fall of the Mutants. He was doing that. Oh, so that was the generation I came up with that.
I have some of those Jim Lees. I got some of those Jim Lee Punisher War Journals. The one, it's a 2-part story where Wolverine.
They go in Africa.
I think it's 5 and 6. I think it's number 5 and 6. I have both of those.
Yeah, they wound up down in Africa.
Yeah. I love the art. That's why I was like, I was looking at Jim Lee was dope, man. I was like, bro. It was just, that's why I was like, I noticed sometimes when these artists, they get older and the style starts to change a little bit, they start switching. Just like Frank Miller definitely changed as he got older.
And with Frank, man, I don't know if it was, and I don't know if that was by choice though. I think sometimes they change. Like I remember when Jim Lee did when he was doing Wildstorm and he was doing the Death Blow. And he completely shifted his style, bro. He totally did. He did use way more blacks, and I think he might have been using the white inks, and it was totally different. With Frank though, man, I don't know. I think times got Frank, and I don't know if he's got health issues and stuff.
Well, yeah,
Because
he's
man, you
had
go,
some health
yeah,
issues,
you
and
go
I
from
know he
Wolverine, that miniseries he did, Wolverine, that man, and it's just out.
Daredevil,
You know what I
all
mean?
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's shifted, man, a lot.
Well,
I
I
still love
actually
Frank
have.
though.
There's a issue of Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, that he was like the guest artist on, and that was the first time he ever drew Daredevil. I have that issue.
Really?
It's the first time he was fill-in artist on that issue of Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, and it was like 78 or 79 or something. And I have that issue. It's the very first time he ever drew Daredevil, and it was in Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man. And then like a year later, he was on Daredevil as the artist, and within like a issue or two, they let him, because the book, they were about to shut the book down. They were going to shut it down and make it like quarterly or bi-monthly. And they would just like, do what you want. And he was like, okay. And he just, all of a sudden, this cool story with ninjas and all this, he created the hand and stick and all this. And I was like, that shows you right there. I remember I was talking to Steve Englehart back in January, and that was one of the things he talked about in the beginning of his career. They put you on a book because they put him on Captain America because it wasn't selling. It was like like a bi-monthly. Sure. It was, it had a black guy as the sidekick. It wasn't selling, and then so he took it over, and they tried to tell him and say, "Hey, get rid of Sam Wilson." And he was like, "No, I think I can do something with him." And he ended up having a legendary run on the book. And by the time he got off of it, it was outselling Spider-Man and stuff. It was the #1 seller by the time he got done. Because he wrote like the Nomad storyline and all that stuff. I mean, it was legendary.
That's what I'm saying. I think and I think these guys, man, did it. And again, I like money. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna knock anybody who goes after money. But I think that these guys, man, they did it because that's what they love doing, that stuff. Like they, you know what I mean? They grew up with it and stuff. You had this generation that came in, Frank Miller and them. They kind of came in raised on comics. Stan Lee and them kind of created the whole thing. Kirby and them created everything.
Absolutely.
Right? They made the mark. And then you had the generation that came after them who grew up on their stuff. And they were in love with comics, man. You know what I mean? Like they were in love with that shit. And I think you had that trend carried on, and it just seems like, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but I took a break from comics for about 10 years maybe, and when I came back, just recently, like I don't recognize the landscape anymore. You know what I mean? Like I see people who are doing books or doing comics or in the mainstream that I tell people all the time, and I don't mean to pick or nothing, but it's like you said, hey, I got some scars over here when I was a part of, comics when it wasn't cool and it wasn't hip and nobody wanted to be a part of it. And now that it's pop, you got all these people in here talking, talking to people who've been in here for years, and you kind of like, well, wait a minute, hold on a second, where you been? I was out there in the trenches when I remember going to comic book conventions. Look, bringing my portfolio, man, you talking 20 deep on the line, and every one of them dudes was good. Whoever was in line was good. You know what I mean? It was like, look, it was out there trying to get work, man. And it's just, it's such a different feel now, it's strange, man. And I don't know. I told somebody, I said, I think I listened to this interview by Denny O'Neil, and I said, if you never had a Denny O'Neil moment, it's tough to see it, but it was this moment Denny O'Neil was talking about how when he was killing Robin, he said he went into a deli in New York, and he said he used to wear their little buttons on their lapels, and he goes into the little deli or whatever, and the dude behind the deli, he looks at him, and then he turns and he looks at the people and he says, look, that's the guy who's killing Robin. And Denny O'Neil was like, yo, man, they were pissed. And he said he had this moment where he realized, when we're asked to take over these characters of these books, I mean, essentially we are stewards of these icons, which belong to the society. They belong to the culture, and there's a reverence that should come along with that. That like, hey, man, I want to treat this right. I don't want to take this. I don't want to mess this up. I want to honor the tradition that came before me, man. Of course, I want to put my spin on it, just like Frank and them did. And it's like, but I want to honor the essence of what the character is. I don't want to come in here and start trying to put my ego or my my themes and my ideologies in this stuff. It's like, no, let me honor the craft and honor the trade. And if you don't have that, it'll affect it. And I think that's what a lot of people are seeing right now. Movies too. People are seeing it. They're like, what is this?
So, like, when did have you been published on other books and stuff? Like, when did you first get into the professional side of the comic book?
So I don't know if I've ever been in the professional side. I dabble. What happened with me was I probably made my very first convention in 2003. And I went to Chicago, Wizard World, when Wizard was Wizard.
Yeah.
Man, look, man, when he used to have the carpet out and everything, man, it was nice. DC and Marvel would be there with these huge displays and stuff like that. And I had hooked up with a guy, and he was working with Brent Irwin. Brent Irwin was with Ape Entertainment, and and Brent was working for Wizard. So we would get in, man, and we get to go to the after parties and all this stuff. And I did a book with them guys it was an Ape Omnibus book. And then from doing that, I met a guy, his name was Marcus Tagisu, who's actually, me and him have been partners ever since. And me and him did a book. He had his own little label under Ape called Justice City Chronicles. And we did that book under he had his studio, I think was Lightning Age Studios. And we did that under Ape and got that really through Diamond, the whole nine, the whole thing,
So it was in the catalog, yeah.
Yeah. And this is back before they had all the, before they had, somebody was telling me the other day, all the hoops you got to jump through now to get into Diamond. And it wasn't like that before. And so we did that. And then the book was set to drop in October of 2005. And I had everything set up and shit, man. And, of course, in August of 2005, Katrina hit. And it just rocked my world. It just changed everything, man. And,
did you ever relocate? Did you go somewhere else? Or?
Nah, brother. I stayed.
Stayed in New Orleans
the whole time. I was there was a Wild West, bro. I ain't never experienced anything like that.
No, there's a good buddy of mine, a gentleman by the name of Hughes Cushenberry, and he was I met him. He was they relocated about 25,000 people from New Orleans up to Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And he was one of those. He got evacuated to Tennessee, and that's where I met him. It was, he got separated from his family, and they, for whatever reason, I know they were setting up like these little databases and stuff where people could try to reconnect. I think they sent his sons and his daughter to Houston, and he got sent up to to Tennessee, and then he couldn't, and then somehow they ended up in California.
God damn.
They ended up in California. He was telling me about it. And, during that time, I was engaged to a young lady, and me and her went through a lot of problems, and we ended up breaking up, and I was down to my last, and he didn't know me from Adam, and he was helping me out. And one day he told me, he was like, man, I haven't talked to my son in like 3 years and all this kind of stuff. He said, I don't know where they are, all this kind of thing. And, he was like, I don't know how to find them. And I said, well, they have some of those databases and stuff where you can like kind of link. He said, man, I don't have a computer and all this. I told him, I said, why don't you come over to my house? I said, we can try a few things. So we sat there for a couple of hours. We looking on the database, trying to find his son. And I said, does your son have Facebook? He said, I don't know, man. And he said, let me look. And I said, give me your son's name. And I typed his son's name in the Facebook, just trying to find different stuff. And all of a sudden, he said, wait a minute, go back to that one picture right there. And we scrolled back up, and it was his son. It was his younger son. He couldn't find his other boy, but they were together with his daughter. So I didn't know the dude, but I said I can send him a DM on Facebook. And I contacted him, and when he saw it, he wrote me back, and then he said, give me my number. And so all of a sudden, it was so funny sitting there right next to him. He hadn't talked to his son in like 3 years. And it was crazy, man. When I think about that, I sent him the DM and gave him, I said, hey, your father said to call him at this number. And all of a sudden the phone started ringing, and he was like, yeah. All of a sudden he put his other son on the phone and his daughter, and he hadn't talked to him at all. And, he he flew out there to California. His son was about to graduate and stuff. He flew out there to California. So I was like, that was a beautiful thing. But you know, it was funny because he helped me. And I mean, my car broke down. I'm telling you, I was having such bad luck at that time, and he helped me, and it was such a good feeling, you know, to be able to reunite him with his son like that. You know, it's Katrina was.
It was rough, and you brought something back, and I don't think it's hard because I don't know. I know mine anyway. Attention spans, like I don't know, it's not what it used to be. But you know, I remember because we were laughing about it the other day. I was like, you know, I remember when Katrina hit, and they was telling me, yeah, you're gonna have to text to talk to us, and I'm like, text? I'm like, man, I don't text, bro. I don't do that shit, dude. Like people don't like technology was not what it is like today, man. It was really still limited, really, really limited. Flip phones, like it was real limited.
I remember the flip phones, brother.
And it was like, look, when that power, let me tell you something, that power was out. I'm telling you right now, straight up pitch black. I mean, I ain't never seen pitch black like this before. I mean, black. And it was in what you don't realize is that, because I didn't realize this till the power started coming back on, bro. You could see every star in the sky. Mm-hmm. What happens is when the lights come back on, this orange glow creeps up and it drowns all the stars out, man. You don't know that until you watch it happen, but you slowly watch the power come on and you can just see this orange glow start to come up from the light, and it just drowns the stars out. Because when all that was black, man, you could see every star in the sky, bro. Yeah, it was crazy, man. It was a wild time.
Did you? Are you someone that lost? Did you lose your home? Did you lose everything?
No, we didn't lose that. We didn't. Not like that. Let me put it to you like this. I have a story that's behind all of that, but it's not. You know, it wouldn't be like a Hallmark type movie type thing. I unfortunately, you know, it was wild at the time. I mean, I was already kind of wild at the time, but it got real wild. And then I went headlong into drugs and alcohol, man. I spent a long time like that. You know what I mean? Until I finally sobered up, you know, about 9 years ago. But I spent a long, you know what I mean? Like it was wild. It was wild, and then it just got dark because, you know, drugs and alcohol is what happens. On top of Katrina, on top of, you know, it was just like, you know, it was like, yeah, great. If you lived here with Katrina, you drink too. You know what I mean?
Right.
You didn't do that, you know. And then all the people are like, oh my God, I know it's so horrible. I'm like, yeah, I know, right? You know. And
I get it, because I had another buddy of mine. He's been living up here for a while, but he lost his birth certificate, and he's from West Monroe, Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
From West Monroe, and so you know, he called him back home to his people, trying to get. He was asking them to go to wherever the birth certificate or wherever the health department or wherever y'all get them, and get a copy of it. You know, he sent them some money so they could, you know, get a new copy of his birth certificate, because he had lost his job up here, and he was having to fill out new applications and stuff. And you obviously need driver's license, you need some kind of form of ID, mm-hmm. and he wasn't able to get. All of a sudden, it was like he didn't exist no more because the county records department got washed out there.
Yeah,
and they couldn't find anything. That was strange. I was like, man, it's like you don't exist, bro.
I knew a lot of dudes who came out really good when all the records got washed out the courthouse. They came out real good.
Yeah,
like, no, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. It's like they washed their sins away.
Exactly. You know, only to make new ones, but you know, for the time they had a little bit of a reprieve.
There was it's kind of funny that you said that, because there was a TV show called Katrina on Fox, and it was actually supposed to have been shot down there, some of it anyway.
I wouldn't be surprised. I didn't, you know what I mean? Like
well, it only lasted the one season. The guy that's on what's the brother that's on Blackish? I can't remember his name, but he was one of, but it was him. It was supposed to be kind of it was like a black cop and a white cop. That,
I do kind of remember it now.
Well, the white cop had apparently, the white cop had been a criminal. He had been a criminal, and then Katrina happened.
He got washed out to jail.
Yeah, he got washed all his criminal records away. Yeah. And then when all the records that were on him got washed away, he decided to become a police officer. Yeah, he was like,
I know why I forgot about it. I was very high at the time.
It actually wasn't it was called Kville or K.
When you started saying it, I do remember it now.
It was called what? Kville or something like that. I remember.
Like that.
Yeah. It was
They
made the white guy the criminal. The white guy was doing time, and all the records got washed away. And he goes when he got out, he said, "Okay, well, this is the second chance. I'm gonna become a police officer." And so he got like some phony records, and then his partner obviously found out. But he was like, "You've been doing a lot of good work out here, so I'm not gonna snitch on you and tell everybody that you're really a criminal." I thought it was a little funny.
Only in the movies, bro.
Yeah, only in the movies. That's what it is.
But ain't nobody gonna get out of jail and be like, you know what? I'm gonna become a fake cop.
Yeah, that's trust me, I learned some hard ways. Sometimes you know how they say honesty is the best policy. I got in trouble a few times, and I thought being honest, they would lighten it up on me. Boy, I'm telling you, man.
I seen it. I watched them first 48s, and they're like, "Look, 48. Man, you know." I'm like, "Don't do it, man. Don't do it, man."
Yes. Yeah, sometimes if God give you a favor and you get to skate on some things, keep your mouth closed is always the best policy. Because but let me pull the book up because I want people to check this out, man. It's called God's Hand, and let me see if I can. Every time I try to do these, they either work right out the gate or they don't. Hold on, let me do it. Okay. Here we go. This is God's Hand.
Here we are.
This is by my man, Anthony Figaro. And,
there it is.
We got it pulled up. Okay. When did you launch this? Because it looks like you're doing okay. You got a couple stacks already, 31st. I see. Okay.
Yeah, October 31st. I launched it on Halloween.
Oh, okay. Let me go down. Okay, hold on, because you got some really cool looking art here. And did you do the logo yourself, or did you get somebody else to do it?
A friend of mine helped me with that. I came up with the concept. He put in all the he's much better at Photoshop than I am. His name's Shane Bouvier. Cajun boy.
All right. I love that accent, brother. I love it. I'm digging it. There you go, man. That's it. All right. Oh, I see you got the what they call the fleur de lis on the hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My boy's a Saints fan.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's something I'm actually gonna have Caden as we go into brand more. The character David, they live outside of Nashville, so he's a Titans fan. So I'm gonna have it. I'm a Titans fan, so there you go.
Add it in, throw it in there.
Yeah. I wanna have a little Titan. Yeah, it's like they right there in Tennessee. So let me pull this up. Or bon temps roulette, as they say. Let the good times roll.
Let's
see. So, but I like the logo, and so as we're going down here, so break it down. Start telling me what God's Hand's about. I love this image right here. This is great.
Okay, so let me set the mood. Let me set the scene. Because that's the story is going to take place. But here's the scene. So it basically takes Lovecraft, H.P. Lovecraft. And it takes his basic idea of the old gods, of the old ones, right? And so what it does is I steal that from him, and then I say, okay, from these old gods, every monster that we know of has been born from them, all right? All the ones we know, all the ones we don't know about. So then what happens is the monsters, they come together because Lovecraft's gods are gods of chaos. Well, they come together and they say, you know what? We're not down with the chaos. We want power. We want control. And so they rebel and they banish him into a pocket dimension. And then they take over everything. And they divvy up the world. Right? That's just why you have Greek lore and Christian lore and African lore, Muslim lore, different monsters in different parts of the globe and stuff, because they divvied it all up. Well, they run everything. And so what they do is they got these casters, these warlocks and these wizards and these casters that cast a veil over everything. So normal people don't really see any, they just see normal stuff. So if you're going down the street and you happen to see somebody get shot, it looks like a murder victim, but it's actually a werewolf attack. But you don't see it like that, right? So then what happens is to keep everything in line, they got these little agencies that are popped up all over the place, and they basically are like your paranormal crime scene investigators or like paranormal mine hunters or something like that. So what happens is in New Orleans, you have Jean Lafitte and you have Marie Laveau. Now, Jean Lafitte's immortal in this story. You know, there's a backstory behind how he got immortal, but he's immortal. Marie Laveau, she casts her spells. She knows how to keep herself young. Well, they wound up becoming lovers. And they lovers in the story. When the backstory. And so what happens is everything that kind of, but prior to that, they wound up right before Katrina, and they chasing down this wraith. And this wraith has been going around and stealing little children and stealing their souls. And so they tracked this wraith down to the Lindsay Boggs Hospital. Now, this is where I kind of use New Orleans a little bit. Lindsay Boggs Hospital is still there to this day, and it's still destroyed from Katrina. Like, you can still go see it right now. Nothing's ever been done to it. It's still wiped out from Katrina all these years later.
So wait a minute. Let me ask you this: your story is set after Katrina. It's set like modern, or is it set like in the past?
It's set today.
Okay.
Yeah, it's set today. So they chase him into the hospital, and so what happens is the wraith kind of sets a trap for him. Marie Laveau tries to get out of it, and she casts this spell. And what happens is between her spell and the spell they trapped in, it backfires. And what it does is it reverses itself, and then basically sucks in all the souls from like a 3 to 4 block radius, and then pulls it back in. So it kills all these people. And the process of this, she don't remember what happened. Jean Lafitte steps in because that's his girl, and he says, "Look, man, I did this. This is it's all on me." And so basically, they come to him and they say, "Look," because the agency they work for works for the Vatican, and they said, "Look, but you exiled. You cannot come back here." You know what I mean? And when the energy went out and dispersed, it went and changed Katrina from a Category 1 to a Category 5. And it just caused all kind of havoc and all kind of negative energy in the city, which caused all of this chaos that went on. So basically, he's blamed for the Katrina incident. They say, "Look, you're exiled, bro." So they exile him. The story picks up. He's now like a mercenary monster hunter. He's got his little crew with him, his little team, and they a bunch of misfits and stuff. And so the story starts when he gets a call and says, "Look, Marie's dead. And her soul's been stolen." And this is like a big time no-no. And you don't steal souls. And so it's about him coming back to New Orleans and dealing with everything he left behind. And he's got 48 hours to find out who killed Marie and where's her soul. And in the process of doing all of this, it starts to open up into this bigger world where there's some things that he ain't been there in 15 years. There's some things now that are going on. And basically the idea is that there are these pockets of resistance, maybe, that are loyal to the old gods that want to bring back chaos. And so it ties into all of that. And by the end of this arc of the story, you opened into a whole nother, a larger world, right? Okay. So that's what the book's about. That's what the first arc is about.
Okay. And how many pages is the book?
52.
52. All right. 52 car pickup.
Gotcha. Oh man, look, I wanted to make it. I wanted to make it longer, but time and stuff. I'm like, 52. I can't make it any shorter. You know what I mean? Not to give a complete arc out. You know what I mean? Where it's like, even though at the end of the story, you realize there's more, you will have a closure on the current antagonist protagonist conflict. That conflict will come to fruition. You will have closure on that. But from the aftermath of that, you're led into there's more going on here.
Okay.
So, you know.
Right. So that's God Hand. Look, like I said, great colors on this. Let me look at your rewards and everything. So I see you got a $10 the digital cowboy. So I guess that's just a PDF of the book.
No, that's a PDF of my 2 previous books.
Oh, so you don't get God's Hand with that? Not
with that. You get the Justice City Chronicles, which was my first book in 2005, and you get Count Carlos, which is a book that I was the artist on that was successfully crowdfunded on Kickstarter. I want to say the end of 2016.
Okay. So you definitely would not be, if I bought that, I wouldn't be getting God's Hand then, right? So
no, but I'm leaving that one to wheel and deal with. You know what I mean? Maybe a little, you know, if we fund maybe a stretch goal or something. I'm not opposed to it. I just, you know.
Okay, but let's go. Here goes story time right here. All right. So what do you get with story time?
You get the book.
Just the book. What's your shipping running like on it?
I think it's $5. I think it's $5.
I don't. Okay. Are you doing international shipping or just U.S. and Canada?
Man, I had to go back. Well, you talk about winging. I was winging it, man. I had to go back. You'll see when you go further down. I'm doing international, but on some of them I didn't put it in and left it international, but only put in the United States shipping. And then when I realized it, somebody had already bought the package, and so you can't do nothing with it. So
yeah,
I had to go back in and you'll see on the signature series, I had to add an international signature series in there.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. That was something when I launched. When I relaunched brand last year, I messed up, and there was something. There was a couple of tiers that I didn't have shipping on, and then the guy emailed me. He goes, "Hey Antonio, you don't have any shipping on this, right?" And I checked, and I said, "Okay." He was a nice guy. I set up a link and he just paid me the difference. And then I shut that down and put it up there with shipping in there. I was like, man, fortunately, he was the only one that bought it. I was like, damn. I was like, I'm just tossing myself all kind of money.
I had a dude from Canada who was doing a show with, and he wanted the book, and he's like, oh, I see you don't have international shipping. And I'm like, wait, what? And so then I started kind of looking through, and I realized some of them I did, some of them I didn't. But then some of them that I did, I didn't account for it. So I was like, damn, dude. So I had to go kind of back in there, man, to kind of adjust some stuff. And that's why I had to come up with the international signature series.
I got you. All right. So I see you got the regular. Okay. So if I bought this one up here, the 15 plus the shipping, I get the Storytime book. That's not going to be signed, right?
No.
Okay. So then you get the signature series, and that's 25 plus the shipping.
Correct. Now that's the book, that's the signature, and that's a metal bookmark signed by me.
And then let me see, international signature series. I don't know what your shipping is international because we got some. Do you remember?
It's about 20. I think it's standard 20.
Okay.
On international.
And then the double vision. And then so that's 50. So what's that? Two copies of the book, or?
Okay, right. So you'll get the one with the Indiegogo special cover, and then you'll get standard version. Both will be signed. Both will be signed, and you'll get 2 bookmarks that'll be signed.
Well, I see you said that it has a metal bookmark. So are you doing that? Because I know Ben Jones that does Asgard. I know he had the little metal. He had the metal bookmarks in his. That was nice when I got that. I will say
they nice, man. They nice. Like you get them. You get the polished aluminum, man, and it's like mirror almost.
Yeah, man, I get it. So let me see here. So 2 copies of the book, not signed though, or are they signed?
No, that's all. Anything after 25 is signed.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, anything after 25 is signed.
Okay, so then you got $75 remarked and metaled. And then, so what's showing
on
here?
This one, on this one, you're going to get one of the books will have a little remark in it, and then you're going to still get the 2 metal bookmarks, but then you're going to move up and you're going to get a 5x7 metal print to go with it.
But you're giving away another. It looks like it's showing that you get 2 books with that.
Correct.
So yeah. Oh wow.
Correct. So basically, once you go to 50, man, like I tried to stack it. So if you go 50, you know what I mean. The 25, what you're getting off that 25 is you're getting a little remark and a metal print. That's what you get. I'm trying to lure them in, man. I'm trying to lure them in.
I got you. Son of Dracula. What's going on with that one?
All right. So that one you're going to get the 2 books, and then you're going to get a copy of my Count Carlos book.
A physical copy, not the digital.
Physical copy.
Okay, I got you. That's I like that. Okay, and then remark twice. So what's going on
you
there?
Get 2 remarks, one on each book. And then I think you move up to this one to the 8.5 by 11 metal print.
Yeah, 8.5 by 11. Let's see, 9 by 12 hand drawn sketch, and 11 by 17 large print. Oh wow, you get a lot of stuff with that. I'm assuming the shipping is a little higher on that one because it looks like you got a lot of stuff going on in that one. And some people have taken you up on that, I see.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, the JCC Triple Elite Club for $300. What's going on with that?
All right, so you get a physical copy of Carlos, and you get a physical copy of Justice City Chronicles, which I happen to have a few of those from 2005, original copies.
Okay.
That's why there's only 10 of those, because I only have so many of those. I wish I had more.
I got you. And then you got the Monster Pack for $500. What's going on with that?
All right, so now you're starting to move into being drawn into the book.
Oh,
You'll
okay.
get to be a monster. Your likeness, you'll get to be a monster. I'm not sure if by 500 you move up to the 12 by 18 metal print.
Okay. And obviously a copy of the book and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, basically you're gonna get everything that you got in the previous, the 2 books, the Justice City. I'm not sure if the Justice City comes with that one. The Count Carlos comes with that one. Let's see, a Monster Talk. You'll have a speaking line in the book.
Okay. And then I see right here you got the Monster Talk, and let me see. Tell me about that one. It's $1,000. Where you get all with that?
You get 2 books. You get 2 metal bookmarks. Count Carlos, Justice City, 12 by 18 large print, original art from the book, which will more than likely be the page to which you're talking on, and you get a God's Hand hat and T-shirt.
So you're doing the book traditionally? You're doing the book. You're not doing digital.
I know. Man, I understand that long term, I will have to because production wise, you can't compete production wise, man. You just can't.
But I like traditional art.
I do. Listen to me. I do too. Don't get me wrong. But if I'm thinking, Antonio, and if I'm looking future wise, it's like, I'm trying to create a product as fast as I can, as good as I can, so that because I want to build something. You know what I mean? And I'm like you. Don't get me wrong, man. I make a lot of money at shows because I can draw, and I can draw pretty quick. And when I draw, it still looks good. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't look like it's scribble scratch and stuff. So I really enjoy it. It's just when you get to I'm telling you, years ago I watched this video. You can blame Mark Brooks, man. He put this video on, and I watched him make a Thor page. Man, it blew me. It just blew me away because this dude's like, oh, he's drawing it, and he's like, oh, his head's too big. Oh, crop it, shrink it. Oh, look, his hand's out of place. Tilt it, move it. And I'm like, bro, the amount of time that it would take for me to do what he just did, I'd have to erase, redraw. This dude's just moving, man. Setting up boxes and all. Man, I'm just like, dude, this is ridiculous.
I love Mark Brooks. I've been following him on Instagram for years.
He's one who's matured his style a lot, man, and gotten tight, man. Because he was a little more cartoony back in the day, which I liked. Don't get me wrong, I liked it. He got tight.
His stuff is dope, though. I love that. But you got these last 2 here. The Join the Team is $1,500. Tell me about that one.
All right, so basically you get to be a recurring character. You get all the other stuff. You get to be a recurring character. And I think you still get a page of artwork.
You only got 3 of those available. That's
let me see what you got in there. Let's see.
You'll be drawn into the book as a recurring vital character that will become a part of the God's Hand universe, plus the page of original art from the book with you as the original character, plus your character profile. Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
You get that for 15. Let me slide on down to the side here. Bam. 2000 creator control. Now, what's going on with that?
All right, so on this one, you get all that good stuff. You get the original cover to the book, and the key thing here is that you get to come with me at New Orleans, and you get to sit behind the table with me at Wizard World. And
you gonna have them come to a con with you?
Yeah, man.
Oh, wow!
Sit behind the table with me, man, and see what it's like to be on the other side.
How often do you go to cons?
In my area, I go to whatever one. I wish I could go to more. Like I do, man. I really enjoyed when I used to go. I went to Chicago for a few years in a row, man. I loved Chicago. But lately it's just I've been having to kind of do the ones around my area. But I make Wizard every year. And they brought a few extra ones this year. We tried out for the first time. But ever since back in 2004, I think it was when we debuted the book at Wizard World Chicago, bro. That was it, bro. Once I sat behind the table, it was like, that's a wrap, bro. You know what I mean? Like I could never see it any other way than that.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Okay, with this book here, you've obviously got like a horror vibe going with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously, or am I wrong about this? Is more like mature readers, or is how would you?
You know, man, I seen this mistake made before, man, and again, I would say it's going to be no more mature than say, what was it? Jim Lee's Divine Right. Was it what was that? What it was? The one where he had the guy Max Faraday, and Max had all these powers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
It's it would be no more than that. It's no, because I would say I don't want to cut. I don't want to cut consumers, man. You know what I mean? I don't think. I guess because I don't think it's necessary to create a good horror product and make it so gory or so far into it that you cut off, say, 13-year-olds, 12-year-olds. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do that. Like, I want to be able to cap, because I worked on a book one time, and they made the mistake that, in my opinion, I could be wrong, they put curse words in it, and it wasn't, and as far as the book itself, it's not really, there's nothing bad in it except the curse words. And sometimes I have, parents come up with their kids, oh yeah, I'd like to get this, and I'm like, I can't let you buy that. You know what I mean? Because it's got, it's got F-bombs and stuff in it. It's like,
I definitely have stuff like that in there.
Which you get, look, man, and like I said, this is just me. You know what I'm saying?
I'm definitely not marketing to kids, but I've noticed. But I do notice, like one of my my youngest nephew, he started seeing the art that I was posting on Facebook and stuff, and he was getting drawn to it. And I was telling my brother, I was like, this ain't for kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I don't know, I might let him read. I don't know.
I mean,
oh, just like they see Dark Santana and they wanna be down. It's like,
I hear you, man.
Well, he ain't but 13, so I'm like, he just turned 13, so I was like, okay, yeah, you too young. I was like, because there's gonna be, there's definitely gonna be a lot of violence, and then there'll be adult situations, as they say. And,
right.
And so,
look, man, and I just, I did it in a way where it's the book is probably more, like I said, because I come from more writing like traditional superhero stories and stuff, dealing with stuff like that. This just happened to come up. This is one of these things where, I do believe in God moments, bro. And this just happened to be one of those things. I ran into some guys. I was delivering some artwork, and they were like, hey, we want to do a local news story on you. I'm like, okay, great, cool. Guy calls me up, and he's like, hey, you got any stories about New Orleans? I'm like, no. And he's like, well, if you had to make one up, what would it be? So I start making this story up, and all of a sudden, man, I'm like, this story's got legs, man. Like, this is, because he's like, look, we're going to make a trailer. Because that's how that whole animated thing came up. He's the guy who did the voiceover. He sent me the voiceover, and I was like, dude, he's like, can you do panels for this? And I was like, give me the voiceover. And so I worked the panels up, and me and my friend Shane kind of put the animation together. And I was like, this is a story, dude. This is a story here. I said, so you're going to run a news story about a product that I don't have? I'm like, no, we're going to make this a product. And it just came together, man. It really did.
So let me see. So you got 52 pages. You've obviously been working on the book already. How far into it are you?
I'm not that far into it. I mean, I got a pretty decent, because look, man, I tell you what, promoting the book, I listened to Billy Tucci the other day, and I tell you what, my man said, the only thing about doing this is when the art department's working, the writing department ain't working. When the promotional part's working, the art department's not working. And I've been grinding so hard on the promotional aspects of it. But from doing previous books, I know my pace, and I can probably do 4 pretty comfortably a week. I
4
can probably
pages a week?
5. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now what I do is I roll down and I do tight pencils. But I have a good colorist. I work with him. I sit down. I say, look, how far can you bring this in, right? I'm gonna pencil it. I'm gonna give it as tight as it can. But ultimately, once the colors go on, it has to be tight enough to where the reader does not know there's no inks on it. Like, that's the whole thing. I don't ink my stuff. I go straight pencils, but I do them tight enough that when you look at them, you can't tell the difference.
Oh, no. There's a buddy of mine that did a couple pieces for me, a guy named Jamie Biggs.
Mm-hmm.
And he he does not use any inks. All his art is pencils. But like, if I show it to you, you'll see it, and because we were able to just scan his art and have it colored right off the rip, and it looks. When I tell people, I was like, no, he just used like heavier lead, and
if afterwards, what I'll do is I'll email you some pages from Count Carlos. And you can see what it, and I can even take you some screenshots of the before and the after, so you can see what it looks like in pencil form and what it looks like. It's the same. That's the same thing. It's the same difference like what he does. It's the same.
Kanan does a very tight pen. He can do looser pencils. He can do a tighter pencil. But even on his tight pencils, he'll just scan the, like if he does original art on the traditional, he'll scan that and then he'll go in and digitally ink it so that he can tighten that thing up.
Sure. That's what I'm saying. Like when I did this, and I can't remember the guy, man, but I remember the guy saying this. And he was like, and I guess if if my dreams hadn't changed, and I was going to work in the industry with the Marvel or DC or anything like this, it may. But he said, look, he says, if you put your pencils tight enough to where you don't need inks, you need to get paid more money, because basically you're doing two jobs. That's flat. And I never thought of it like that. I never thought of it like that until I heard that guy say that. And I was like, you know what? He's right. He's 100% right.
I like that. Like I said, obviously the art is really detailed, and so I really like stuff like that. You got great colors on it, and so you've written a few other things before. You mentioned you mentioned the other two books. Were you the writers on those, or just the artist?
No, I was the artist on Count Carlos. On Justice City Chronicles was the first time that I was brought in. And Marcus is a man. Me and him hit it off. I'm trying to get him back in because he's a writer, and I keep bucking him up. And he like me, he kind of went off on his own way. He's got a little pizzeria in New Jersey, and I'm
like a gangster when you said it.
Right, he's got his little thing. He's doing his thing, and I keep telling him, I'm like, look, man, I said, you need to come back, man. I said, But he's the first guy who kind of brought me in, and he was like, look, here's the story. But he started to kind of give me, like, him and I started creating together, right? And then we started, one time we was in Chicago, I think it was 2006, and we ran out the entire, I want to say it wound up being like maybe 42, 42 issue arc. Like we just ran it, bro, in like 4 or 5 hours, and just and it was like, and doing that, and then after that, in 2008 was the last time we went to take a stab at things, man. And I was getting loaded, bro. That poor dude, bro, had to put up with some bullshit, bro. But we had this idea, and it's still solid. I would love to turn it into an animated thing, but we wrote a prequel for 300, and we went in and I did a lot of homework on this, and we wrote this story about Leonidas, but we went a little more traditional, you know what I mean, accurate, because the story about the wolf and all of that stuff, that's not true. That never happened. But the real story is really good, and it was crazy because if you study Leonidas, you won't find a lot about Leonidas. What you have to do is you have to study his older brother, who was king at the time, and all the campaigns he went on. And then Leonidas was at all these campaigns and stuff, and he was a general. What made Leonidas so special, without getting on a huge tangent, was when a king's son was born, he was not allowed to go into the Agoge. He was not allowed to go fight. He was not allowed to be in the school that they send the boys to. Leonidas was not the firstborn, and he wound up in the Agoge. So he grew up with them dudes, and he fought with them dudes, and he was like, so when his older brother kind of went crazy, he took over. And when he took over, you had some shit go down. But our story was about that. It was about him coming up through the ranks as a general and how he actually became king, which was a great story. And in that aspect, that's when I really kind of started writing, man, dialogue and all kind of stuff like that. And it just, man, it was 2008, the market wasn't like it is right now. It wasn't friendly to, you know what I mean? It was still, you still kind of had to come correct. And like I said, I was getting loaded. I mean, that's the truth of it, man, is iconic. We had an office man that we paid. I had an investor who was going to invest in the book. This dude bought he rented an office for us, and I had that office for a year, bro. I went to that office maybe a dozen times, bro. I was doing a lot of talking, bro, a lot of getting high. And I just, and that was basically, and I feel bad, bro. I even tell Marcus to this day, I'm like, bro, I owe you the men's, man. That's wrong. That and all that shit. He's forgiving me and everything, but I cut my bones kind of doing stuff like that. And then I started to write these stories. And I think I came back to comics, kind of tried to get back in a few years ago. And then I just started to all this was peripheral stuff, man. And on the peripheries, I just started to see opportunities. And I'm like, man, I need to do something, dude, And finally, like I said, man, it just happened and it came together, and story came together, everything came together. And then I show up on a scene to do it. And like I told you earlier, man, I'm like, man, what in the shit is going on, man? What the hell happened here? Bro?
Yeah, it's a little different out there now. It's a little different out here in these comic book streets. And that's let me ask you this though. Are you a traditionally trained artist? Did you go to art school, or you just one of those kids that just
I got a natural gift. That's what it is. A natural gift. When I was, you'll appreciate this, or I know some people will. Basically, when I started, I remember. I'll tell you where I drew the most from. When I got started in comic books. We used to go to the 7-Eleven and we used to steal comics from the 7-Eleven. And me and my friends would take them back and we'd trace them, right? And then we started copying them. And then I remember 1989 and Batman came out. Boy, and they were doing all of these previews for Batman, and they ran this special, bro. And I taped it on the VHS, and they showed all these scenes from comic books I had never seen before. And I'm like, man, look at it, man, that looks cool. So I would go back and I would play the VHS and I would pause it on the scene where the page would be, and I would just copy it from the TV, man. When I'd be drawing my ass off and shit. and look, and that's where I just the repetition of it. I built a library in my head and stuff like that. And then once I got older, I would start looking at more traditional stuff and techniques and things like that. But it's just a natural gift. As with writers, you can hone it and you can craft it, man. But and that you can take someone who doesn't have talent and show them the craft, and they can study the craft and they can be proficient writers. You know what I mean?
Right.
But there's something that sometimes there's people who, again, you can take a talented person and they learn the craft and whatnot. They have an eye for it, man. Like it's like you got an eye that sees a little bit different than everything else, man. Or I'm just talking shit. I don't know. Maybe residuals from getting high from all this shit.
Oh no. But like you said, what was it? They say you have to do something like 10,000 hours to get good at it or something.
Probably, man.
You have to do that, but. Hey man, I dig it, brother. Well, Anthony, tell folks how they can reach out to you there. I see you got the kiddestructo.com.
Yeah.
What all kind of different social media you got and everything.
All right. So kiddestructo.com, that's my website. You can go on there. I have prints for sale on there that you can get. I got some original artwork on there you can get. But if you want to get to the book, of course, you go to Indiegogo, but I'm also on Facebook. You can find me on there. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on now I've been now on Twitter. Thanks to Antonio. He got me on Twitter over there.
On the Twitter.
You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Tumblr. I try to get on as many social media platforms as I can get on.
Yeah, I used to mess with Tumblr, and then I kind of fell back from it. So I didn't know it didn't really.
Let me put it. I'm on there, and I post on there every time I post on Instagram. I just do one of those little things that it automatically posts, and I'm like, oh, good, there we go. I got presents over there.
Because I follow like Adam Kubert posts on there all the time, and I'm like, but I follow. I still have my Tumblr account, and Adam Kubert posted. I was like,
it's weird. It's that social media. It's weird, bro. It's strange. If you 40 and over. Maybe even a little younger than that. I can speak for people 40 and over. It's strange, bro. Shit is strange, dude. It's just weird. I don't know why it's bizarre to me. That's all I can say.
These social media platforms, they just keep changing, and that's the thing. Like when you try to sell these books and everything, you have to have, I noticed some people, they launch these books and they sit there and they don't really do much marketing. And I was like, you got YouTube? No, I really don't. I don't really fool with YouTube. I don't really do too much social media. And then they look at you like, why ain't the book selling?
Right.
I was like, you gotta have a little bit of hustle about you, baby. I'm sorry. You got the
YouTube market. I gotta bust the YouTube market next.
You got an advantage because you can draw.
That's
so
what
like
I was thinking.
If you're an artist, you can sit there and draw, man, and just build a nice, steady art community right there.
That's really what I was thinking about.
Yeah, man. I'm envious. That's why I was like, if I get somebody who wants to draw on my channel, I'm like, yeah, that seems to work. People like to watch people draw.
Bro. Anytime you let me know. Anytime.
That's why I was like, I try to get Kanan. I was like, Kanan, I need you to draw. And he's like, man, I don't feel like coming on again today, man. Yeah. And I was like, oh man, that's not good, man. That's just not good. But either way, Anthony, it's been a pleasure to talk to you, brother. Look like your book is doing quite well. You should be hitting 5 racks real shortly here. You look like you're getting in there. But your whole goal is 10, right? You're trying to get
whole goal is 10, man.
Yeah.
My whole goal is 10. I got some aces up my sleeves, but my whole goal is 10. That's my goal, man.
Well, I believe you're going to get it because it looks like it's doing pretty well for you. So congrats to you, sir. I salute. But we're going to get out of here, folks. Let me tell
the audience one thing.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I got on December 3rd, I will be with Billy Tucci and Niall Scala on crowdfunding.com. So check me out on December.
Oh, the Crowdfunding Comics channel. Yeah.
Crowdfunding Comics channel. I'll be on that channel. And I gotta say, man, and if you don't know them, I'm telling you right now, Antonio, these people, this is who kind of brought me in and kind of have been helping me and schooling me a little bit, is Varian Grant and Randy Zimmerman over at IndieVolt, man. And they've been real.
I don't know them, man.
Yeah, man, check them. I'm gonna tell you what, man, they brought me in, bro, and they good people. You know what I'm saying? They kind of help show me the terrain a little bit, and they kind of ease me in, like, all right, wait, we know y'all freaked out and shit. Okay, listen, this is what's going on, and they kind of give me a little rundown on what's up, and kind of talking to people and promoting my book and stuff like that. And they're really good. They were really they did me good, bro. They did right by me.
All right. Well, all right, guys. Again, check out God's Hand, people. It is in the description, and I appreciate the mods that have been dropping the link to God's Hand in the description there. I see people checking it out and saying that they love the art, which is always a positive thing. But with that being said, I'm going to close this one out. As always, check me out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and right here on this YouTube channel. Everywhere is at Akari Press. And if you type in AkariPress.com, it will take you directly to my Indiegogo campaign for my comic book series brand with the phenomenal Kanan White. We've got 10 more days on that, folks. We're on Amazon, Teespring. Check the links out in the description. I'm out.